Thank you. Thanks very much. Thank you, Eric. Thanks, California. Good morning. Well, I know that Gavin talked about the incredible First Lady. I mean, that was a speech that I think none of us will ever forget. But as a Texan, I gotta say, Julio and Castro, watch that guy, watch that man. I've never been prouder to be from Texas. Well, actually, many days I'm not proud to be from Texas, candidly. So I'm here this morning on behalf of the 1 in 5 women who have been to Planned Parenthood for health care at some point in their lifetime, the 3 million folks who came to us for health care last year, and on their behalf, and as president of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, I'm here this week to make sure that we re-elect Barack Obama President of the United States of America. It's great to be with so many. I travel all around the country. We're working in a lot of states that aren't like California, so it's great to be with so many incredible Californians. It was wonderful to hear Gavin, who has been such a fighter for women's rights and women's health care his entire political career. My mother had the biggest crush on Gavin Newsom. I can't even tell you, so I don't know if he knows that. And it's wonderful to have your 2 senators, Dianne Feinstein and Barbara Boxer, working with us in Washington every single day on behalf of women's health and rights. And my old boss, who we saw last night at our Planned Parenthood event, Leader Nancy Pelosi, who just every single day gets up there and fights the fight despite all the odds in the U.S. House of Representatives. And I want to shout out my friend here, Kathy Kinnear, the CEO of Planned Parenthood of Advocates of California, who's so outstanding. Well, the good news is women are going to be a majority of voters this November, like we were last time. And I'm here to say we're going to be the deciding margin to re-elect Barack Obama President of the United States. And it's because it's never been more important. You know, if you watch the Republican presidential primary, it was like a race to the bottom with every single one of them trying to be worse for women and like claim the mantle. You know, in a time in which we got, as Gavin said, we've got a whole future ahead of us. We've got economic issues to deal with, home foreclosures to deal with. What has the Republican leadership been focused on? Ending access to birth control, overturning Roe versus Wade, cutting women off of breast cancer screenings and family planning. It seems like, at least from dealing with Congress, that they think that the solution to unemployment is hidden in our uterus, right? Did you get that one? Okay. And of course, Planned Parenthood, not only do we provide health care, we're also the largest sex educator in America, but the Republican platform would end all of that. But if there was ever an argument that we need mandatory sex education, particularly for the U.S. Congress, it's Congressman Todd Akin, right? So we got to get serious about. But the fact is, it's incredible to me that in 2012, in the House of Representatives and with Mitt Romney, we are literally fighting for the right to birth control again in this country, right? This is extraordinary. And of course, your own Darrell Issa managed to call a hearing in the U.S. Congress to ask men why women didn't need birth control, right? You know, the sign I keep seeing all across the country are women of a certain generation holding up a placard that says, "I can't believe I have to fight this shit again." Right? Isn't that how you feel? Like, enough. Anyway, the folks who come to Planned Parenthood, obviously, they're not coming to make a political statement. They're coming because they need access to affordable health care that we provide. And so we need a president who makes sure that they can get it. And that's why Planned Parenthood Action Fund is, in the words of First Lady Michelle Obama, we're all in this year for the president. Because the president stood with us, and by God, we're going to stand with him. I don't know if you remember, but we were actually hours away from shutting down the federal government. There was no budget deal in Washington. And Speaker John Boehner, the third most powerful man in the country, went to the White House to speak to President Obama in the Oval Office about what he needed to get a budget deal through the House of Representatives. And do you know what his demand was at a time of historic unemployment, huge economic dislocation? The one thing he needed was to defund Planned Parenthood. I'm not even making that up. And you know what the president said to him? He had 2 words: nope, zero. And that's right. And Speaker Boehner came at him again. He said, "John, it's just not going to happen. That moment is going to go down in Planned Parenthood history, where literally the President of the United States drew the line in the sand for Planned Parenthood for women. We're never going back. We're going to stay with him all the way through November. So I want to just say, I know a lot of folks have already talked about the importance of the Affordable Care Act for women. It's the single most important thing that will ever happen in our lifetime to advance health care. And I want to thank you all in California for always leading the way, right? California is always on the cutting edge of the country, passing laws that, like requiring companies to cover insurance coverage for birth control, like all other preventive care, making sure that you can get emergency contraception, and often making it harder for hateful and often violent protesters to intimidate women's health care providers. So thank you for California for showing us how it's done every single day. And I know that this November, we are proud to stand with you, and I'm glad that Gavin mentioned it. We are proud to stand with you and defeat Proposition 32 on the behalf of working people all across this country and the state of California. So I'll end with this. I'm from Texas, as I said. You know, I feel like I've been making up for it pretty much every day of my life. But that's a place where, for women, we got to fight for every single thing we got. So when my great-grandmother was a girl, the only folks who couldn't vote in the state of Texas by law were idiots, imbeciles, the insane, and women, right? Well, we've come a little ways. Just 2 generations later, her granddaughter, my mother, Ann Richards, was elected the first pro-choice woman governor ever of the state of Texas. So we're making progress. But if Mom were here today, she'd say, we got to spend the next 63 days doing every single thing we can to talk to every voter in this country and let them know what's at stake and what's on the ballot in November. Because when women find out that Mitt Romney wants to get rid of Planned Parenthood, that he wants to overturn Roe versus Wade, that he wants to get rid of insurance coverage for birth control, women will not vote for Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, okay? That's what we've got to do. So if we do our job, if we knock on doors, if we talk to voters, we tell them what's at stake, and we walk the precincts, we're going to elect leaders who fight for women, who stand for women, and we're going to send a message all across the country. And our victory in November is not going to be for us. It's going to be for my daughters and your daughters and our granddaughters and our grandchildren. And we're going to show the power of women to change the world. Thank you for what you do. God bless.